What is up, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of uh, Flicking the Skip, where we review the substance again,
Only the substance.
and only the substance. But we might take a quick break this week from reviewing the substance because it was so mind blowing that we had to, we need a palate cleanser before we get back to reviewing the substance. So, we'll just, if you guys don't mind, we're just going to take up just a deviation to review a series that I think has been long in the waiting as far as like a horror series goes. Joined here with Logan Gifford. Sorry, Logan, for not introducing your writer and producer for
No, it's all good.
Space.
Hello, everybody.
Skip Morazzi. And so like I just think that it's an under celebrated horror franchise. And you have probably scoured the internet up and down. If you're into horror, and you've seen probably all the podcasts about all the horror franchises, so you'd be like, no, I know which one you're talking about, and you are correct. It is Toy Story. So we're going to talk about the horror franchise Toy Story. Logan, I mean, because this we're recording this the weekend before your wedding. But it's gonna be coming out in October, so it would be unfair to not do a horror themed episode, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. I love the concept that we're going for. Like, it's not like we're not just this is gonna be a different type of flicking with Skip. I think it's just gonna be fun.
There's definitely a vibe in the air, as we've been talking, and we were actually talking last night too on Drawing with Jack, just about the vibes that are going on right now and how they stink at the end of September. And I hope everybody is well and that they're carrying through, because Jesus Christ. Do you have any thoughts about Toy Story, the series overall, before we get into it? Like, what's your nostalgia? What's your the feeling that it gives you, that sort of stuff?
Well, the original Toy Story movie, I think I originally saw at the ripe age of maybe 4
okay,
or
yeah,
5.
fair, yeah. I think I saw it fairly young too. I was like 8 or so.
Yeah, these movies were a staple of my childhood.
Nice.
I mean, like at least the first 3, but then they came out with the 4th one, and I was like, I'm a man now. Do I want to go see Toy Story 4?
Actually, let's call out the whole reason that this conversation started, and we started like talking about why we should review Toy Story. Is because Tarantino said the same thing. And that's when he sent me a clip. He was like, you know what, Toy Story 3 was great, and it finished off the series. And I didn't need to watch Toy Story 4. And I thought I agreed with him until I watched Toy Story 4, and I disagreed with him afterwards. So we can get to that when we get to Toy Story 4. But yeah, no, right? It's a sort of a staple of our childhoods, because I think this movie came out. Toy Story 1 came out in, I think I was 8 probably, and then I got to watch up to, I think I was 3. Toy Story 3 came out when I was in college, maybe. But it was a big deal. I wanted to see it, of course, because I wanted to see the ongoing saga of the gang. So, yeah. You have to say a lot about Pixar, right? Because Pixar started out as a studio who's like, "Oh, we have software. What do we sell with it?"
So this is actually one of the first movies I think we see of that era of movies where they're kind of fading away from that hand animation.
Yeah.
And those were beautiful films too, man. Like Treasure Planet, Emperor's New Groove, those were all beautiful films.
Yeah.
But then but then like around that same time, you start getting like these more CG heavy movies, like like Toy Story, like Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, all the types of things that are going on in that new realm. I still think this is kind of a non sequitur, but whenever you get a chance, go back and watch Shrek 1. You can actively see like when they realize they don't have enough budget anymore.
I think you commented that when we were starting to talk about this too. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that that's one of the things. You want to just jump into the films?
Excuse me. Yeah, let's do it. I'm sorry, I was having a drink.
Oh yeah, you're all good. But that's one of the things that I think, especially about Toy Story 1, is that when I was watching, I was like, wow, I can't believe that I was impressed with this as a kid. Um, I was like, it's like real basic animation. And like there's no like textures or cell shading or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's just like you're like, yeah, that's a Toy Story, right?
yeah. Everything looks real smooth and kind of uncanny.
Yeah, especially when you start looking at like Andy himself, where you're like, oh, that's the kid. If for some reason in my kid imagination, he had full details, like he definitely looked realistic.
Right, but then you go back and you watch it again, and you're like, that very closely resembles a human person.
Right. And they all look the same. Like all the kids at the party. Some of them have pigtails, but Oh, and there's a black kid. My bad.
It was just your tone when you said that. It wasn't the fact that there was a. Never mind.
Just of course, they want diversity also. The theme of this movie is that toys are alive, which isn't super complex. But then you have to realize in Pixar is like, oh yeah, let's make let's show off what we can do, and we'll do this. The same way I think is that the one who won animation awards in the last go around, who did it for using Blender and did like a full length animation.
Wow.
Yeah, they won a bunch of awards just for being great also, but then the story also came out that like they're doing it on they did an animation studio, like 3 people or something in the house, with
like you said on just like Blender. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what also makes it astounding, is because apparently it is really good. It's about a black cat. If this is ringing any bells, anyway, that was also a tangent. But Toy Story 1, for what it is a lot of hype without a lot of anything in it. I hate to say it. Toy Story 1, I also used to think was a really fun movie, and it was like a total nothing burger as far as movies are concerned.
Right. It's almost kind of like a Shaggy Dog joke, where it's like they play around this big conflict the whole time.
Like, you are a toy, right? Yeah, that's the whole gag. The whole gag is that toys are alive, and some toys don't know it.
Yeah, and then they get this brand new toy, and he doesn't think he's a toy, and he has to get driven into his mind that, hey, you're a toy.
Right. Yeah,
and he ends up getting himself into a bunch of hijinks
because he doesn't realize that he's a toy.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Which, I mean, like you said, it's like very Shaggy Doggy in that way, because it's like this whole time they're like at odds with each other, and then finally he's like, I am a toy and we're friends.
Right. Yeah, that's how the conclusion happens. I mean, he's broken down in that way, so you can't say they don't have character development, but especially in comparison to the other movies that come later, the character development isn't very rich. They're definitely trying to sell like kids' toys to kids, and at least make the action fun enough that they'll want to keep watching the movie. Which is cool, which is good. That's a good place to start. I mean, everything has to be spectacular from the jump. But it was groundbreaking. I mean, I'll give you that. And I do, like, as a kid, remember loving it. So I'm sure you could show it to any kid and they'll still love it.
Yeah.
It's a very timeless classic. So not trying to dog on that at all.
So I also think Toy Story 1 has one of the strongest examples that we see across the franchise of body horror.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking about Sid, right?
Yes, Sid,
So this is like the pinnacle example of why I'm like, oh, this is definitely a horror movie, because they're scared of being replaced. For one, that's the cornerstone fear, is that at one point they'll be turned into trash, and trash is what Sid likes, and he you'll get like all the toys from anywhere he can find and destroy them. And so it's horrifying when they're trapped in his room, right? Like, the body horror of all the people that are there.
Yeah, I'd say the mismatched toys as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The mismatched toys as people. I recognize them as people. Clearly, you do not. We can talk about that, in post if you want to.
But no, the fishing rod with legs, definitely a pretty crazy visual.
The hooker, yeah, they put a hooker in a kid's
The
movie.
hooker, I didn't even. You know what? That's fucking brilliant. I didn't even.
Somebody had to point it out to me too, and I was like, yeah, you did it. Y'all did it. Yes. Good job, guys. So yeah, I mean it is, and like Sid, is the whole thing about the way that they get out of the situation with Sid is they scare him because they break the rules about not being alive. Like they come up out of the sandbox. They Woody spins his head around. It's like the climax of that movie.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I remember when I was a kid, that freaked me out too because he was talking to him, but his mouth wasn't moving, dude. I was like, dude, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
It was so spooky as a kid.
It will mess you up. And it is and the whole interior of his room too, like the lighting, it's lightning and thunder. Your favorite bit, which is Buzz Lightyear sitting down to tea.
When he actually finally has his mind broken, I think is that's the actual point that we see it.
Yeah, so of course another horror movie trope, like the one guy that you're supposed to be able to rely on is having a mental breakdown in the other room.
Right, and it's Woody finds him and he's like, oh God, the only reason I came here and my only hope of getting out is Mrs. Nesbit.
Right, Mrs. Nesbit.
So that, and honestly, for how old the movie is, I think that bit still holds up.
It's still really good. It's so funny. I mean, you got to shout out to Woody Allen. Sorry, Woody Allen. Jesus Christ, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. Woody Allen is in no part of this movie except for in a horrible, very terrible, weird rendition of where he wrote it himself and decided to direct and star in Toy Story. There's an alternate future or alternate timeline that exists right now, and I'm sorry that I revealed this to you.
That's an actual horror movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go the direction that we are going, this is actually a horror movie, and rewrite it without the toy part in it, and directed in the style of Woody Allen, it would be a very interesting movie. But I don't. And that's all I could really say about it. Is it would be interesting. I would also be horrifying on a whole other level to cinema goers everywhere. That's why are we watching Toy Story massacred in this way? But again,
what they did to my boy.
Yeah, exactly. I digress. So yeah, I mean, they set that up in the franchise. That these guys are real and they have emotions and experiences, and that they recognize that being a toy is really important because you get to be important to this kid. It's a whole Velveteen Rabbit attitude. The Velveteen Rabbit.
Kind of. Isn't that Alice in Wonderland, or am I thinking something else completely?
It's an independent book, and it's a little story about a rabbit, stuffed animal that's loved so much that his ears are rubbed off and his face is rubbed off and stuff like this. And it's when you are a toy, those are marks of pride, because someone has loved you so much that they've worn you down into nothing. Oh,
that's a beautiful thing, honestly.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And so that's where the Toy Story premise comes from, is that it's very important. I wouldn't be surprised if they know about the Velveteen Rabbit. So that this is how toys think about themselves. And Woody is a personification of that, of course. And I think this is one of the things I say from this point. You see that this is what the premise was that was set up, and that's why I think the resolution is in 4 for Woody, because you see him go through that, and we can discuss it when we get to 4. But it's set up here, and that's why I think that they needed to do a 4th movie, because
it gives Woody's conclusion. Everybody else kind of already got their story told.
There you go.
And Toy Story, we mainly follow Woody. And actually, his love interest from the first 2 movies.
Yeah, it's interesting. About Bo Peep, right? And I was from 4. If you guys haven't seen 4, you guys should definitely check it out. If you've been holding off on seeing it, it's worth the cap, and I think it kind of puts in what we're talking about too, as far as it being a horror franchise, because there's much more elements in that one too. just the concept of what's happening in that movie. But the only other thought I had for Toy Story was that the end sequence and kind of the whole rest of the movie, to me, it feels like they're chasing the idiot ball, which is that Buzz, he can't figure out that he's not a spaceman, and has to be taught that, right? And then he finally breaks out of it, and then they just delay it, and have to delay it further. Like, now they're moving out. Now we have to chase the truck. Now it's the thing's out of batteries. Now we've got the match, but now we can't use it. It's just, so there's just like the writing is a little bit like, you're like, okay, yeah, it's good, it's fun, but it's really just getting in your own way and no like real character, movement or development. They do make it sad, of course.
We do also get a couple of great shots there in that final big action scene.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least as a kid, we're still really cool.
Oh yeah. It's written for the kids for sure.
They're like shots. It's like from the toys POV, standing in the back of the truck, and you see Woody and Buzz just flying like 30 feet in the air above the truck.
Yeah, that's fair. But you missed the truck. I'm not aiming for the truck. Right. Just a good time. Oh, I should probably call out what I'm doing with the animation so far. So I took Jack's picture, the one that has, Richard in it, running in a circle, and I'm taking Richard out of it in individual pieces. So that, because here's the other one right here. I'm gonna move it up so you can see it. There he is there. But I'm just taking him out so I can use him, and then I have to clean up the background so that I can use it as a set, and then he's going to be able to run. And actually, I think I'm going to have him, instead of running this tight circle like he's running, I think I'm going to have him run from right to left, and then from left to right. Right. So you see that he's like running like through the entire engine room.
Yeah, he's just like scrambling more than he is like running in a circle.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes sense.
Like a tight circle is really funny for this frame. You don't get to see that sort of thing. But yeah, I just needed the animation of his legs moving, which should be fairly easy because I think I can set up pivot points at where his hips are. So that they're just like churning while his arms are like going. And then that's just that animation across the way. Anyway. So, but yeah, I just need to get the individual pieces. And then the same thing with the one down the hallway. Is I have to take the guy off the background, and then patch in the other stuff as they run. So do you have any final thoughts on Toy Story? The first one?
The OG movie just kind of set the bar for what else was to come in my eyes.
Right.
I remember being younger and hearing that there was a sequel, and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!"
Right. Exactly.
So excited for Toy Story 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who didn't want to see Toy Story 2 after seeing Toy Story? And then you have to recognize, right? This is before Finding Nemo. This is before Monsters Inc. Like it is. It's the OG. It set the bar for everyone else too, not just this franchise. And they fortunately went further with it. Like they did really great work in Monsters Inc. that shows up in later movies like Toy Story 2. Where you get like more textures, you get more lighting, richer environments. And
yeah,
definitely,
Al.
What's that?
Al just, I was just gonna say Al, just as a character and his design, and they really jumped up as far as like making people look and act more human on screen.
100%, right? Yeah. Everything's a buck. And
how can I forget about Al's Toy Barn?
Al's Toy Barn is cool because it definitely shows in Toy Story 2 the value of toys and how some toys are inherently more valuable for reasons that they can't possibly, like the toys themselves don't understand. Like obviously like a big like reveal is Jesse is he's part of a franchise with Jesse and the horse and Peach.
Horse. So the horse's name is Bullseye. I had to remember, but yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I was like, whatever that damn horse's name is.
So it's also, we get to learn the lore, a lot of lore behind Woody and who he is.
Yeah, right.
In this one,
that he's not just like Andy's boy, but like, the cleaner comes and takes like particular care to put them back together. Like he's like Al is so like hyped about, finding this Woody. And then at the same time, you're following the story of Buzz, who he's actually not worth that much, even though he's such a cool toy. Because when he walks in the toy store, that he's one of like an seemingly infinite number, right?
Right, and that's another part where we see we almost see his reality break too. And then another like really cool horror concept that they put in here.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like I said. And then, like I said, once again, I know that we're not exactly going through these chronologically or anything.
No, we're just kind of doing an overview. We're not going to go piece by piece on these ones because there's a lot of Toy Story, and like I said, we don't need to break apart a lot of Toy Story. The first movie because most people have seen it. And there's fun things you could CinemaSins or go through, but a lot of people have definitely done and done a really good job. So you should check them out. That's what we're going to be doing here. So yeah.
No, they definitely had that really cool shot where he gets swindled by the new Buzz Lightyear to get into the box. I don't know what it is like he swindles the other Buzz to let him out of the box. And then Andy's Buzz gets trapped in the box, and then we get this awesome shot of just like this big pan out where it's like the aisle shouldn't even be this big or this wide.
Yeah.
But you get this sense of isolation because we see our Buzz, and he's the only one who's in there kicking around and shaking in the back. And the other Buzzes are just frozen. And so it's this really cool, surreal shot.
Yeah.
Right. It just kind of brings back that horror aspect. That these movies are always just a little bit creepy, and that's part of what makes them fun.
They are. They're horror movies. This one is. Like even the prospector who is, he's a guy like he does this, there's like these spooky elements of like someone is like messing with them and they don't know who, right? Because obviously Pete is trying to like keep him there so he can be sold as a set.
Yeah, I think they called him Stinky Pete, the prospector.
Yeah, Stinky Pete, and he's like embarrassed at that, but he just wants to be sold because he's never actually been played with. He's only seen the other toys get bought because nobody wanted a Stinky Pete.
But yeah, nobody wanted Stinky Pete.
Yeah, so it's funny how we see like the again from a toy's perspective, like what value is, and how like that's brought shame to him because he didn't live up to like what his perceived value was. That's what made him bitter.
We see now that like how old of a toy he actually is.
Right.
Because he's based on a TV show from like the 60s or something like that. It's like an old black and white TV, like a puppet show.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, once again, he sees like all these collectibles and things with his face on them, and we kind of almost get a mirror of that moment where where Buzz like
the Buzz Lightyear moment. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, like Buzz has this thing where he's broken down and he says, "I am a toy. I am Mrs. Nesbitt. This is my, this is what I do now."
Right.
Whereas we get this opposite moment where Woody realizes that he's not just a toy, but he's so much bigger than that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like the where his legacy of being a toy. Like, yeah, exactly. And so it is an inversion of the first Toy Story, right? Because it's Woody dealing with what it means for him to be a toy, which is exactly the same thing that was a question in the first movie for Buzz. There's a couple things that really my favorites about Toy Story 2, and one of them is that Jessie's introduced because I love Jessie. I think she's played by Joan Cusack. I think that's who it is, or I might be wrong. But her voice is so fun, and like once she gets on Woody's side, she's a big like goofball. I've known girls and women like that, growing up.
So in the second movie, she was played by a lady named Mary Kay Bergman.
Thank you. Okay.
And in Toy Story 5, she was voiced by Joan Cusack.
She was. Okay, so it sounds like a character written for Joan Cusack, and it sounds like they cast somebody in the first movie that sounds like her, or like, hey, can you do Joan Cusack's voice? We couldn't get her. What's your best imitation? you know. I don't know. But it does. I mean, like, especially as Joan Cusack plays her, it does sound like her. And I like that they go for the
really funny that by the end of the second movie, Jesse and Buzz fall in love.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that it was like it's clear and easy to make the two cowboys fall in love, but instead they like flip it and make it like Buzz fall in love with her. I'm not a huge fan of that relationship personally because I don't see the dynamic at all. It feels kind of forced, to be honest. But he does love her a lot, and what are her options really as a toy? So, I mean,
another thing I want to talk about as far as couples and relationships in the movie.
Okay.
There's a really good bit in Toy Story 2 where
sorry.
Right, where like Woody gets taken, like Al finds him at the yard sale, and he gets taken, and they end up following his car to the city. But before they go, we see Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, and she's Mr. Potato Head, they had a door in the back where you'd store all the stuff.
Right.
She was getting she was just cramming a whole bunch of things into it.
Right, yeah, exactly. And that's in the bloopers too. She's like, "Your angry eyes." A whole bunch of yeah.
And then we actually get a callback later on in the movie because I think they kind of get into like this fight scene or something. He's like, "All right, this is for Mr. Angry Eyes," and he pops his eyes off, reaches into his back, and then puts another pair of shoes on his face. And then he runs into the wall.
Because he put on his angry eyes. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, that's really what makes Toy Story such a classic too. Is because they own their bits. Like they commit to it. You'll notice the people who all went on that adventure are all the famous celebrity voices. That are in the cast. So it's like Don Rickles and the guy who played Pee Wee Herman, who I'm so sorry I've forgotten his name. And
his name was Paul something, wasn't it?
Yeah, Paul Rubens. Thank you. And
we also had the voice of Slinky in the first two movies was the gentleman who played Ernest.
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't Paul Rubens. It was the guy. Yeah, who played Ernest. So it's that celebrity voice, and then it's the guy from Cheers as one of the voices. I think the pig. And the dinosaur. Is also
Rex is another famous voice, and it's kind of funny that like they all kind of just create like this hodgepodge unit of like none of them really has like a good role or anything. Like Buzz is clearly the leader, but like other than that, he's just got like 6 toys behind him that have never gone on an adventure like this before.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing, is that like I was like looking at it as an adult, and I was like, that's the worst assembly of people you could ever try to get. With things like Slinky. Like Slinky's cool as fuck, but like everybody else, they're baggage. A liability.
Another thing I thought was funny is there's a bit where Slinky I think almost curses, or like it's implied, because they're sneaking around a corner, but they've been walking for like hours.
Mm-hmm.
And Slinky's way at the back, and he's like, "I'm sorry, boss, I'm doing it." And then he's like, you see the rest of his body come back, come around the corner, and he's like, "Tail."
Wait, what?
Yeah, he does a bit like that, I'm pretty sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, where like they're sneaking around a corner, and Slinky's like his tail is lagging behind the rest of his body by like a lot.
Right.
So his front half comes around the corner first, and then his back ass, and then his ass end comes. And you think he's gonna say dragon ass, but I think he says dragon tail in the movie.
No, I got you. No, yeah, you're right. He's dragging tail. Who's behind? Mine. And like walks into Fran. Another good bit. That's because
another good bit. I think another really good visual bit that they gave us too was the when they try to cross the highway underneath the traffic cones.
Oh yeah, exactly. The crashing, having everybody crash into each other. And
Yeah, they
like,
just
get
just
them
cause
into
like a
that
huge
safely.
accident.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, it is. I mean, Toy Story 2, like, especially like from the opening sequence, right? The opening sequence, I believe, is the train chase scene with One-Eyed Bart. And I believe it even like ends with, well, I'll bring my attack dog. Um, and I'll bring my
Like Slinky or
dinosaur,
something.
yeah, who eats the force fields of attack dogs. But it's the same sequence that they did in the first movie, but you see it from it like inside Andy's imagination. Like there's an actual
Right.
train going, like One-Eyed Bart and all of his like little dudes are helping him. And then you get to meet like Mrs. Potato Head for the first time, um, as another like villain. It's just, yeah, it's just, so they just, in Toy Story 2, what I was getting at is they just went like, they're like, you like Toy Story? We're going to give you more. And
Right, right.
I believe they delivered.
See, and what was fun is that they actually started incorporating like a few like known toys. Like I think even in the first movie, you see Speak and Spell and Etch a Sketch.
Yeah. I think there's probably ones that they could use without license. They may have gotten
Right, because
more funding
those
for
are
using
like super
specific
old
ones.
toys.
Yeah, exactly. That might be the case.
Um,
I don't know. But yeah, it would be a good boost to sales for any toy manufacturer to appear in Toy Story. That's for sure.
mhm.
Because I mean, just the toys that came out of nowhere, just the movie themselves were selling like crazy. You could get Toy Story
Right.
everything.
It's not to mention, right? Yeah, so it's not to mention that you already had like popular toys in there, like Mr. Potato Head, the Etch a Sketch, a Speak and Spell.
Yeah.
I'm
And
pretty sure they had one of those like, what does the cow say? Like things too.
Yeah, because exactly. Yeah, that's a thing that they use. Were they gambling on it? Um,
It was something like that.
I
Yeah.
think it's like a roulette wheel where you put money on where you think that it's going to come up. And then yeah, they win that way. I think it's a funny bit for toys to be doing that. You see them playing video games too, in this one, and also I think that's funny.
Right, like
it's a
while
big
Andy's
thing.
not around, they just hang out and they're just like normal guys like you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
Ham sits there and watches TV. Rex plays video games. And also, I think that was another one of the opening scenes I think we got in that movie. It was one of those scenes again where like we're not exactly told the context of it,
Right.
until we see like Buzz Lightyear's top half just get blown off, which is I think one of the more graphic toy deaths that we see throughout the entire franchise.
It's so horrific.
Is when he gets killed by Zurg in the video game.
Yeah,
because it's jarring, it's like this is our hero, and then he just gets blasted, and then
that's right.
You Rex go and then Buzz is like, "Come on, man, you just got to time it right."
Yeah, exactly. You zoom out, you're like, they're just playing.
Buzz doesn't even seem phased by watching himself get killed.
Right, why would it?
You know what I'm saying?
He is a toy.
So we finally see that he realizes that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's
just not to the extent that he's gonna realize it.
Well, he's about that. Yeah, there's 4 has some interesting twists and turns for the development of Buzz's character that I want to talk about. Did I mention the backstory song of Jessie? The song that "When She Loved Me" is like the saddest song in cinema. Like,
oh my God,
you want to talk about like horror, right?
Yes.
Like, she was like, her whole purpose was ripped away when that kid got taken away, or she grew up, or
right. Yeah, she just grew up and like she started like, she stopped playing with Jessie dolls and didn't want to do cowgirl stuff anymore. She became a teenager. She became a teenager, and like we see like the whole visual, like we see Jessie's world change around her, where it's like this bedroom that she was in here with this kid with is now all of a sudden covered with like boy band posters and a big vanity and makeup and perfume and all that shit. So we actually kind of physically see what happens, I guess, and what was about to happen to Woody when we see a toy like age out,
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, he's been put on the shelf. He's experiencing the same thing. His arm got torn. So
that's also, how can we forget Wheezy?
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. And Wheezy was, he was put up on the shelf too. That was, and so
yeah,
you're like this
Wheezy has been up there for years.
Yeah, right. That's in the heart of this kids movie, and so it's like this existential horror of like, look at guys. One point, either your kids are not going to need you anymore, which is a horror story to the parents who are watching it, of course,
Right.
or right, yeah, because they're like, oh wait, what the, because it's going to leave them like all, freaking out. My kids won't need me, like empty nest syndrome, way before they're just watching a kids movie.
Mhm.
And then also like to a kid, basically it's like, hey, one day you're gonna be useless, absolutely useless. It's a normal thing. It happens to everyone because it is a normal thing, and it does happen to everyone, and it's terrifying. It's the same thing as the
Right.
idea of getting old. That's what they're discussing
Right.
in Toy Story 2, is when you're too old to be played,
And
aka dead. So
I do feel like we've been doing Toy Story 2 an injustice if we don't talk about the restoration of Woody and just how cool that scene was. I feel like
fantastic,
that was one
fantastic
where
thing.
Pixar was really trying to flex, like, okay, here's how much we've stepped our game up. And they got these really, really like super tight like micro shots. Like the paint that he was putting on him actually had texture. You can see the glow in his eyes after he polishes them, and it's like you really see a lot of environmental and lighting changes and texture changes and stuff like that. And like you said, that was the type of stuff that we weren't seeing in the first movie, but also the first movie came out, what, 5 or 6 years beforehand. So
Yeah, it was a
we get
little
to see the
bit
progression, like as the technology gets better and as they start to perfect the methods, we see it pay off.
100%. And they knew where they're putting their budget, right? Yeah,
Right.
especially to what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Oh no, because you said they get to check out all the lighting and textures and stuff.
Yeah, but especially too, like how creepy they made the old man look. I think is what I was going to say. Like they really gave him a super unique face.
He's the cleaner, right? Like he's the Harvey Keitel character.
Right.
I probably mispronounced Harvey's name. Sorry, guys. Keitel. Anyway, but yeah, that's what he's supposed to do. Like he's supposed to come deal with the bodies. In our world, it's toys. Well, in the world of Toy Story, it's toys. But yeah, like, and he is doing something really horrifying, dude. Like his arm has fallen off. But like,
You see him like repairing it. But then another horrifying thing we see too, because like I said, we get this really close shot of him dipping this paintbrush in some brown paint, and then in a single stroke, he wipes Andy's name or just paints right over Andy's name on his boot.
Exactly.
And that's a shot that means a lot for the character in the movie and his decisions being made for him. And then it takes all of his buddies coming back and being like, hey, this isn't the life you want to live, dude. You're a toy. Like
right.
And then Buzz is like, right. And then Buzz is like, I'll come with us. So they end up not only getting Woody back, but they bring back Jesse, Bullseye. I don't think they bring back Stinky Pete. I think Pete ends up.
He ends up.
Doesn't he fall off the plane? Yeah, that's what it is. He ends up on a little girl's backpack, and
he'd never been played with.
What's funny about that though is that like it looks like at first like he's miserable, but then like I think it shows a scene where he's like strapped to the backpack and he's got like makeup on and stuff, and he's like, okay, like.
Well, yeah, he just became like a little girl's plaything. Yeah, she calls him the ugly man.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Which again, it's really fun how Pixar deposes their bad guys, right? If you remember, like Sid, it was of course the toys scare him, so that takes care of their bad guy, and then Buzz, he was kind of an opponent, but he wasn't a bad guy, so he could have a change of heart.
Right, he was kind of an opposition. Also, we get an introduction of a Buzz Lightyear lore villain. We get this is the first time that we hear about Zurg.
Emperor Zurg, yeah, exactly. And
also what a cool villain design, man. I think like as kids villains go, Zurg is one of the coolest ones.
Yeah, they took like all the fun things about Darth Vader and then like brought it up to like this 80s style, right? And then he's all purple and black and red.
Mm-hmm.
A real fun.
And when he talks, his mouth like lights up or something, which is very like toy-like and like funny because like he's such this spooky-looking character, but at the same time, you can't take him seriously because his mouth is just like, you know,
exactly. He's playing him because he's made to sell toys, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a couple really like I think they're subtle because I've never noticed them except for when I was specifically going back and watching them in this last week. But there's like several different renditions of "You've Got a Friend in Me." Through, yeah, I think one of them is does he start speaking Spanish in 2 or is it 3? It's 3. He's speaking Spanish.
It's 3.
No,
yeah, and 3.
I'm sorry to spoil that. So
but no, they do it in a really funny way too.
Yeah, but they do a rendition of "You Got a Friend in Me" in Spanish as a mariachi band. In that one, that's the one specifically I was thinking of, but that's not in this movie. But there's some other ones. There's some like slow renditions, and then there was one that's like I can't remember. It's like jazzy, or if it's like
they have like a big band one at the end because they get Wheezy fixed.
Oh yeah,
and it's really funny because
you got a friend in me.
Right.
Yeah.
Wheezy goes from having like this really like high pitched squeaky voice, and he's like, I don't know, guys. And then he just whips out like the craziest jazz baritone voice you've ever heard in your life.
Exactly. It's so funny, dude. Yeah. You also have to say that they always like try to seek resolution for all their characters, and they go crazy in 4 also. That's why I think it's the crowning achievement, not a black eye on the Toy Story series. So I didn't get to that.
Do you have any? We don't agree with you there.
Do you have any final thoughts on 2 before we go into 3? Because I think 3 has a lot of them. Very short.
I'll be honest with you. After Toy Story 2, I didn't think there was going to be another movie. It felt like it ended beautifully, and it was a very nice, happy ever after kids movie ending. And I, for one, wasn't expecting a 3rd movie. And so when that got announced, like
right.
And they announced it because like the first 2 movies are made like like I said like 5 or so years apart. They waited like another 10 years
to
make it Toy Story 3. But then they also changed it thematically. Like it was almost like they wanted kids to grow up literally with the character in the movie. Because in the 3rd one, we see Andy is grown up. He's in his 20s. He's going to college.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a whole like big setup for that one. So you don't have any final thoughts on 2 before we move on to 3?
No, like I said, just great film. Loved it.
It's fun. It's a fun ride. Yeah, but, it definitely is they stepped up. Right, Toy Story 1, and gave us everything that we could have possibly wanted, for sure.
And then with Toy Story 3, we once again see this giant. I could say giant, I guess, but this substantial visual leap once again. Just because the technology is advanced, and now, like I said, you had all these other movies in between it, where they've gotten to refine their craft and make things better. So in the interim is where you get like Monsters Inc. Finding Nemo, you got DreamWorks coming up with things like Shark Tale, and so there was a lot going on for CG movies to this point. But it's kind of like we said, Toy Story kind of is the one who walked so these other movies could run.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're the one who sold the toys, so these other movies could sell toys. Also, so they did a good job of it. That's why it works. But yeah, what you're saying about like how you can see the upgrade. For instance, Andy has hair that move the same as the rest of the family. Yeah,
and we actually do see, like in the second one, they tried avoiding showing us like Andy's mom's face. But then in the 3rd one, we finally meet like Andy's mom. We get like these long facial shots of Andy and stuff too.
Right.
And they like the characters are really starting to look a lot more human now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, what they did, but like you pointed out with Al, they've gone and if you look back at the original Andy character, I mean, obviously, so they actually retcon it his image, because they make a picture of what he looks like when he was a kid, but it's not the picture from the first movie. It's like a younger version of the one that you're looking at now.
Yeah, they just retconned like this Andy was adopted or something. Like,
right. Well, they're just like, just remembering Toy Story 1 as being better than it was. So that's all they're trying to
right.
They're like, hey, yeah, with nostalgia, look back, but don't actually watch Toy Story 1. You already know what happened, right?
Right, yeah, you remember it. It's okay.
Yeah, we're gonna move forward now. I should point out that I made a mistake in the review of Toy Story 2, and I said that there was an action sequence. The one that you mentioned with the Buzz Lightyear is the one that we get to see at the beginning of Toy Story 2. And it's super cool. It's the exact contrast of what the original Playtime intro was, whereas it was Andy just playing with the toys. Fun visual, but like he doesn't go there. And the Buzz Lightyear one does, obviously, and then the Star Wars parody in there is funny. This is the one where in Toy Story 3 they show the opening,
the train robbery.
And then you're like, this feels eerily familiar, and it's like almost like beat for beat the thing that you saw Andy doing. But then you like zoom out and you realize that Andy's an adult, so he probably could have written that script or story or whatever. Like in his imagination, it's become like this much bigger thing. And like this movie is their theme is what toys mean to kids, and like why it's important to have a kid, like the whole purpose of a toy. So really, really fun. Way better animation, as you point out.
Right.
The toys get upset because they think that Andy was trying to throw them away when he was actually trying to put them in the attic. And so
this is another crazy horror movie aspect, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they start to develop like this mob mentality, and they kind of like turn on one another, or like turn on Woody, I think.
Turn on Woody. Yeah, he gives them the chance to get back inside, and they're like, no, we're not going to do it. The same way as like before at the end of Toy Story 1, where Woody's like, oh, cool, help me out. I'm going to get Buzz. And then they throw him out of the back of the truck because, again, the mob mentality, where the toys, like sometimes they just revolt and go crazy. And you have to like let them. Yeah, it's a horror movie, right? Yeah, like the mob is going to take over and make stupid decisions.
And then also, this is another theme that we talked about when we reviewed The Substance. But
this is a review for The Substance. We're just taking a little break.
Yeah, I forgot. I mean, ultimately, we do review The Substance of most of the movies we talk about.
It's pretty important that you bring them up again. What was it?
I was gonna say it kind of shares a common theme with The Substance, because the toys brought that horror onto themselves.
Yeah,
as far as like
they get themselves.
As far as like, right, like they did that to themselves. They were like, "Fuck that, we're gonna go. We're gonna go to a daycare. We'll get played with forever."
Right.
Yeah, let's go do that. Not realizing the daycare is a pretty fucked up place.
Well, it is specifically because of the bad guy, who I think is one of the most sinister bad guys that they've introduced. Definitely in the series.
Lotso Huggin' Bear.
Yeah, Lotso Huggin' Bear. It is funny. I think that he has the voice of a Southern preacher or a Southern lawyer. So they're like, this. You're supposed to be cued off immediately. Like, this conniving son of a bitch. He's gonna try to fool you. He's only after one thing, and that's money, power, whatever his thing. In this case, it's enslaving the other toys to the toddlers, so they don't have to go over there and get thrown around.
Right.
They want the happy fun time room. I think it's like the caterpillar room and the butterfly room or something like that.
Yeah. And it's like the butterfly room is like where all the older kids are, and they're like chilling.
Yeah.
But then you got the caterpillar room where like you got like toddlers running around throwing shit, putting toys in their mouths. And like we also get a few horror shots in there as well.
Yeah,
we also do get a few horror shots in that.
You see the kids, like the toys, like shrinking back as the kids are about to come in, and then the absolute mayhem of all of those shots. It's like, I'm really glad that they've done what they've done with the CG, because they were capable of catching like just some crazy angles. POV of kids getting toys getting slobbered.
I see it. I was gonna say, like, we get this really great like monster movie type of shot where we see Buzz Lightyear and like there's like a 2-year-old about to put his head in his mouth.
Yeah.
And right before, like, you just see his still face, and right before it happens, he puts his visor on it. But then we also get that second great shot. We just see the tongue just pressed against the dome, and you're just like, you know, like.
And then we get a POV shot as he's like banged against something. Like you see the banging happening, and then from his like from inside the visor, you're like smashing face first into the thing. Yeah,
you just,
right.
And you hear like the sound, like it's resonating, like you're inside that glass dome. Right.
Totally. That's and that's you know, like, and the kids are basically kaiju, right? This is like a King Kong or a Godzilla movie, right? And the toys have been caught up in this horrible, you know, destruction. So again, like just it is a kids movie, so like, you know, don't think that it's not, but it's definitely like to the toys, it's all types of horror, and they kind of take it with smiles on their faces because I guess they're painted on.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like, and also too, we see a couple of horrifying things. I think Rex gets his tail broken off. Like we actually see like some of the toys like actually get damaged. Like I think somebody like there's a kid who paints with Jesse's hair.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You know, like we just get all these crazy, you know, happenings to all the toys that we know and love. We're like, oh my God, why are you doing this to my friends?
Right, you know? Yeah, exactly. And this is the one too. I mean, like if you want to, we're going to jump ahead real quick because it's the one where they go to the incinerator. The final shots are them at the dump, like going into the fire. Like,
die.
Yeah. So, okay. Right. You remember the Lotso Bear? He's a Southern preacher, and they end up facing the fiery furnace of hells.
I want to say essentially hell. Like
inside the Toy Story movie. I mean, it's a horror movie. Toy Story is a horror movie.
Best horror franchise ever, dude.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because there's no real gore. I mean, toys break, right? The combat Carl's about to get exploded. You know, like there's just bits like that. But like within all that silliness, like it's really like, oh dang, like it's a life or death situation. In so many ways. But that's so them getting thrown in the trash. Wesley's already gotten thrown in the trash. Yeah.
I mean, I was just going to go back to like some of the horror elements of the movie, where it's like not only are they like forced to, you know, be with the toddlers, but at night Lotso catches him one time trying to break out.
Right.
And he says nope, and it essentially becomes a prison.
Yeah. Right. Guarded by none other than Buzz Lightyear, who has been reset. So they did the thing, you know, like the first movie is Buzz Lightyear doing the, you know, I don't believe I'm a toy bit. And then in the second movie, he runs into himself doing that bit because he's a brand new toy. And he has to like outsmart himself. And then in the third one, they revert him back to I'm a toy. And
they factory reset him, which is another like body horror thing for toys too. Because I mean, like if you think about it,
it's a body snatcher.
They're taking off the back of his, you know, and resetting his consciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's horrifying. What the fuck? You know?
It's just casually thrown in there. Like, you're like, you know, it's cool.
Right.
It's cool if you do it to a toy. Like, if there's people, it would be creepy and weird. I really, the more we're talking about this, the more I really do want to rewrite all of Toy Story specifically so that it is focused more, that you like recognize that it's a horror movie. I wonder. Anyway, I'm gonna keep thinking about it because seriously,
the Skipper Cut is gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, shit like that, where they slice open the back of the dude to reprogram him, and you're like, oh my God.
You're right. You're like, because I feel like you'd have to like physically like inject something into someone's spinal cord and wipe their memories or some shit, you know?
Yeah,
and it's something equivalent to that because we see his innards too, you know, like we see the switch, we see his batteries.
We see his batteries,
you know, like
exactly.
We see this gore that we're not supposed to see.
Not supposed to be seeing this shit. You're right. Yeah. That was a type of body horror that I was not expecting. Good eye. I was definitely just thinking about like the consciousness part. But yeah, no, so there's that, and then he becomes the guard of the prison, like physically attacking and assaulting them. Um,
Mhm.
like as any good Buzz Lightyear would, because that's justice is maintained apparently. Um,
Yeah.
that you should always
Buzz
show
Lightyear's just
people.
a space cop, and that kind of makes him an op. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're like, so thanks, guy. But he is funny. He's still voiced by Tim Allen at this point. So he's just getting drunk in the booth, starting swinging.
yeah, no, they didn't touch me in prison. I was just a real funny guy.
Right. So Big Baby as a thug is so creepy. Like it's fun when he finally turns.
We have a few real creepy toys featured in this one.
Damn, yeah, like the way they. Oh yeah, okay. Let's talk about the where I realized that these were horror movies is when they put the monkey from the Stephen King's Monkey in the hands of Bonnie when they go to the daycare. And I was like, wait a second.
Yes.
Wait a second. They've been trying to. They're trying to tell us something, and that's when I was like, oh, they've been telling us this the whole time. We just didn't know. We just didn't know. Right. So the monkey's watching, of course. Big Baby's on patrol on the outside. And there's a point where his head swivels or her head swivels around backwards.
Yeah, that was spooky.
Yeah, where it's like now you see him because he's trying to escape from this prison. And it's basically like haunted.
There's also something really uncanny about Big Baby's character is that he's like fully sentient and like able to communicate and like take orders.
Yeah.
But she only ever babbles and coos. And it just makes it that fucking creepier.
Yes. Right. Like you are a baby, but like your mission is to tear the head off things.
Yeah.
So like like he can be logically convinced to like leave Emily, I think is Lotso and his kid's name. Okay, and here's the horror for Lotso, right?
That's another thing that we see, man. These really are horror movies, and they really let on think about it, man.
Seriously,
because we get this scene too, where like Big Baby doesn't want to leave, and like Lotso like screams in her face, like, "Come on,
right,
anymore."
Right.
And we witnessed that heartbreak in the most visceral way, where like,
but the
everyone else is sad about it or dejected. Lotso got angry. Lotso got vengeful when he got left behind.
Well, no.
So we kind of see also how the aging out process affects the other toys.
Bro, well, it is the same thing. Yeah, it is, right? Like that you get replaced, that you eventually aren't needed. But he's literally replaced by himself. Like that's the thing. Like they make their way back to Emily's house, and after all that they've done, that's why he gets mad, is because she's hugging another Lotso bear.
I think the reason, and then they say like one of the reasons they got rid of him is because he didn't smell like raspberries anymore or some shit.
No, she accidentally lost him. They were playing at a rest stop, and accidentally left him behind. And then of course her parents bought her a new one because that was like they went everywhere. They had the best of times. But so Lotso can't understand that. Like he's not just happy for his kid. Like he's just recognized it. But the horror aspect is like it's the same thing as like Third Day. With Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is that the right movie? Or Seventh Day or something like that, where he was a clone that was not supposed to wake up, and he did wake up, and so he like sees that his life has been taken over by himself. Do you know this movie? It's kind of a deep cut, I realize, as I'm mentioning it now, because it's like a 90s movie that nobody talks about. I don't know. But there are other movies. This isn't the only one. Apparently, this is my first exposure to that one. So that was my first go-to. But yeah, this idea that you go back to your own life after some missing time, and find out that you've been replaced by yourself. It's from like old horror stories. Probably the ones these guys are reading, like Amazing Stories and stuff like that. That's probably where they got an idea like that. Sorry, please continue.
We also see where I think Big Baby has to hold Lotso up into the window to see like what's going on. And I don't think we see like when our Lotso, I guess to say, peeks in and sees Emily hugging the other Lotso.
Oh,
I
right.
don't
Yeah,
see
no.
another Big Baby there, do we?
Yeah, no, we don't. Yeah, no. So Big Baby wasn't
So
replaced.
he,
Yeah,
so he actively lies to Big Baby
yeah,
just to have someone with him.
yeah. Exactly. That's his muscle, and he needs it. So
Mhm.
we're gonna pause on that thought real quick and just take a shout out at the top of the hour that you're listening to a Cox and Space podcast. This is behind the scenes as we work on some of the animation cells or set up for the animation. And it's Flicker and Skip. I'm Skip Marazzi, and one of the writers and producers for Cox and Space. So I'm here with Logan Gifford. And tonight we're talking about Toy Story because that's what we do. We work on the animation here and we talk about movies. We talk about Toy Story as a horror franchise, as you may have heard from what we talked about recently. But if you want to catch up on any of our other other podcasts, you can always go to coxinspace.com. That's coxinspace.com. Get connected with our Discord, with our Patreon, with our Facebook. And then you can become a guest on all of our shows if you like to talk about movies or political activism, as we do on Jack's podcast, or even music with Chandler. So check all those things out. The Patreon helps support us, keeps us going, and we very much appreciate that. And obviously, you can get in the Discord and come hang out with us and check out all the stuff that we're doing. Thank you for listening to us and doing this. And Logan, we're going back to you. What you got going on?
Well, man, I was just going to jump right back into the conversation. See, because at the top of the show, we had a little bit of a green room beforehand, and you were like, the angle I want to take is Toy Story as horror movies.
Right.
And I was like, all right, but then the more we started talking about it and the more I started thinking back on like how spooky some of these scenes were and how intentionally like, graphic and stuff some of it was.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It really is, I would say, like one of the best sleeper horror franchises ever.
Yeah, that's I mean, except for the except I did see that they had the at like something of terror, Toy Story of Terror or something like that, where it is like intentionally like a spooky like Halloween one. But yeah, it's a sleeper. I don't think it was accidental. They definitely were intentionally writing like like they're like, well, we'll make toys alive. What we can do that's interesting with toys? Let's do a horror movie, but for kids. I'm pretty sure that was what the pitch was. And then they like coded it as much as possible so you wouldn't even notice. And I think it slipped under all of our noses for quite a while. Except for the one guy that commented is going to pop up and be like, I knew. In fact, here's my blog from 1998 where I told everyone and they didn't believe me, which I'm hoping to talk to that guy when you post on the comments of this YouTube. I'll be like, come on the show and tell us everything you know.
Yeah, hopefully we get some Toy Story fans that'll maybe give us some moments that we might have glossed over as well, because I know there's not a whole lot of wasted work that goes into the Toy Story things. It's like everything is kind of vital, whether it's vital later or it's vital in the same movie.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, there are some things that are just like quips and bits and throwaways. That's no offense to Toy Story, because it's a kids movie. That's exactly what you expected it to be, like funny and quippy and stuff. So you want to
Yeah, you gotta make them laugh.
yeah, you want to keep popping those in there. But yeah, no, they're pretty tight. I forget Joss Whedon was one of the writers on this. Cat.
Really?
Yeah, from Steven Spielberg's company was a co-writer on this one. Yeah, on Toy Story 1. I mean, so they had an idea. They wanted to make sure that it worked. There is a lot of like action sequences, which to me is just fluff, but they all make the movie fun. So and they're an action movie. Like you wouldn't want a Michael Bay movie without the extra fluff in it.
Right. About the real explosions, no CGI.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why you go to them. That's you go to Christopher Nolan for his camera work and realization of ideas. So like that, 100%. That's why you do it. Yeah, look at I got two guys. So yeah, Toy Story 3. I think they bring it all together to make sure that you do see the horror of these toys' lives is that eventually their plight is to be thrown away.
And then also for a very short time we see I don't remember who gets thrown in the trash, but we see the trash man walks up and he's got the same T-shirt that Sid always wore with the skull on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
so it's almost like you see, like, hey, Sid grew up too, and now he's just the trash man.
Yeah,
it's like pretty normal guy.
He's just doing the trash.
Also, too, we get callbacks from the other two movies where we see the Pizza Planet truck.
Yeah.
I don't know if we forget about the Pizza Planet scene from Toy Story 1, dude.
Well, I mean, it's theirs. It's fun. I think it's like they wanted to go for a divergence. So they went to Pizza Planet, which is fun. Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
The aliens were the best part of that scene, but that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, I'm not like, I'm not dogging on it at all. I just, it's the whole movie. I'm like, it's
our lives. We are eternally grateful.
Yeah, it's like in Toy Story 3, the claw becomes really important again. So I guess it's a good time to call back one for sure. Because they get saved in the second movie. 3 Martian boys get saved by Mr. Potato Head. And they become their children at the end of movie 2. And then, so that's why they're hanging around in the third movie.
Because they follow Mr. Potato Head home. I remember they follow Mr. Potato Head home, and then Mrs. Potato Head is like, "Oh my God, they're such a."
Because they follow home from the toy store, right?
No, they're from Pizza Planet, I think, in the first movie.
Well, but how does he get the 3 boys in the second movie? Because that's where he picks them up from the toy store. Because that's where they go, right?
I thought they go to the toy store, but I don't think the boys are with him.
But isn't that where they get the 3 Martians? Is because they get them in the second movie. I know that for sure, because that's the reason that they're there with them in the third movie.
No, because I thought they got him in the first movie when they went to Pizza Planet, and because remember, they have to use the claw machine or something to get Woody out of there, and then when they grab Woody, the Martians hang on to him or something.
That's where they introduce him. No, I'm pretty sure that's where they introduce them, and I'm pretty sure they don't get like members of the family until the third one. Because the ones that hang on to Buzz get taken to Sid's house and get chewed up by the dog.
Yes, okay. I remember that, yeah.
But I can't remember specifically what the scene was. I wish that I could. Also, in 2, we forgot to call out that they introduced Barbie as like part of the bigger world. And which becomes important in 3 too, right? Like one of my favorite moments is Barbie torturing Ken. She first entices him to like model his clothes as a distraction, and then when she can't get what she wants, she starts tearing the clothes up. And Ken's like, he's being like triggered by it.
He's like that was vintage.
That's my 70s groovy jacket, and you're like, oh man. Ken.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good bits in the third one too, man.
Like for real. I mean, there's just
Like I said, that one was good. There's one where we kind of get another Tea Party type of scene, but I believe this time it's Woody when he's looking for the daycare, and he ends up stumbling upon like this house. I don't remember. Is it Woody or Buzz?
Right. So he gets picked up by Bonnie. At the daycare. That's how he ends up escaping. And so he starts hanging out with Bonnie, and then that's where we meet the Bonnie's doll, and Mr. Prickles, and the unicorn with the violent tendencies.
The Triceratops lady.
Yeah, Triceratops, like Gabby or something like that.
She's like e-dating. Yeah, she's like e-dating someone or something too. It's funny.
That's right. He's just a guy from down the street who's nothing, right? Like they just do their ordinary lives still, right? Like she's having a relationship with a toy on a kid's computer, which would get that kid in a lot of trouble.
For real.
Yeah, like maybe it's actually like a person on the other side, little dinosaur. You need to be careful.
Like we're never told.
Yeah, right. Like she's all casual about it.
Like it's because like you want to let your mind wander because it's like outside the thought I was like, what if it's like just some dude? Like it's not even like another toy. It's just like a guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like, is that the sort of thing they can do? Because we find out that there's rules and whatnot, but they break them pretty much at will. And they'll like they'll be like within eyesight, so it's like not like they're getting away with it, but somehow they do feel like they have like a protection spell over them or something. You know what I mean? Like even if they are seen, they're not really seen.
Right.
Right. Like we see him talking, but his lips don't move. It's just Sid in the first movie. But then he does, right? So moving his lips.
I guess he's able to do that because he has the pull string in the voice box. So like it makes sense, like anatomically, him being a toy, he can do that. But it's still really creepy to see.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a real creep factor. Lotso's fate in this movie is he gets put on the front of a trash truck. So as far as like villains, their demises go in the movies, he's a pretty bad villain. Because he tricks them and he's got to make sure that they continue to get beat up, so that he doesn't have to. But he ends up on the front of a trash truck.
Sid's trash truck too, as well, I believe.
I can't remember. I think there is a correlation between those two. They do see Sid's truck, and that's how they get home. I can't remember if that's the one that stops and picks them up, but it would be more fun if they were. So the incinerator, right? Like we didn't really fully talk about the incinerator. Because
we hadn't gotten to it yet.
Like I kind of referenced it, but like, let's talk about it. Like I remember seeing this movie like again as an adult, and it was just like so scary for them, right? Like on the edge of my seat, worried about my buds who I've been seeing for years, like I've grown up with, now facing the flames of hell.
Right, yeah, like literal toy hell is what we gaze into, and it's very unsettling. And I think the scariest part of this entire scene, on top of it just being like really emotional,
right,
is the fact that like Woody and Buzz just look at each other and they don't even say a word. Buzz just holds his hand out.
Yeah, so that's the thing about this scene too. They're like just like
that was when I lost it. I cried.
Yeah, for real.
Like because that's what I was like. So
because they all do it. I think it starts with Jessie, and she reaches out to either Buzz or something like that. But then they're all holding hands, and they just accept their fate. That this is what their time has come. That toys, they go to the incinerator, and that's the thing that happens. And I was just like, you're just like, oh my god. So like this is where so horror movie, obviously, right? Horror movie, but like. Also, like because you're having to deal with existential dread, they're putting like Judeo-Christian themes in the movie, but like very realistic. It's not like it's like outside the bounds of Toy Story. You know what I mean? Like this is the fate that they leveled up to. But like if you look, contrary to the one, which is like I said, the conclusion is just like one mishap after another that kind of keeps them in this action sequence. This is like really it's character development. Like you said, you cried like so many people in theater when I saw it too. That because like you're just like they're gonna die, and we just you have to accept the fact that
right. Yeah, it's like a fate worse than being strapped to a trash truck or being given to a toddler and having makeup smeared all over you. Is being recycled, and we see how awful that actually looks.
Right. You get melted down. Exactly. So scary. I
don't know how they make it out of there though.
So this is the thing. This is where the tie-in is. Is the three boys? They got hit by a truck, like a trash truck.
Yes.
Then it becomes important. It comes back around, and they point out the claw in the beginning of the sequence, which is the thing that scoops up the trash, and then they conduct the claw. scoop them up.
See, and I think what's amazing too is that like they know that that's what saved them. I guess they kind of have a memory of like, you know, that's how they got out. So like they have this association with like the claw, the saver, you know, like.
Yeah, and then let's shout out Toy Story for calling back.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Toy Story just called back a joke that is like a throwaway, right?
Right.
But the thing you said is like there's no wasted frames. They didn't necessarily do it in the first movie, but they do make all their storylines pay off. And that's why I think Toy Story 4 is again like that's why it's kind of necessary to the franchise, because they needed to do that. There was like this. I don't feel like it's a money grab. Like a lot of sequels, I feel are money grabs. But I don't think like Toy Story 4 is. And so if you guys haven't seen it yet, I would encourage you to give it a chance. We're gonna wrap up Toy Story 3 though, and we have about 45 more minutes, so we have that much time to put in Toy Story 4. So the setup for 4 is in 3 because Andy decides when the toys get back to his house that he's going to donate them, and he decides to donate them to Bonnie because of a note that Woody wrote. So again, this is where I'm like, they really kind of bend the rules however they want to. I don't know if there's like one rule in particular, like don't get caught because your kid will be scared of you. That would bring shame on you.
Right, yeah, like right, yeah, like the world will understand that toys are sentient and it will be apocalyptic.
Yeah, that'd probably be too much. But of course, the whole concept of Toy Story is flying in the face of that. Like, and it's an expose on how toys are sentient. So
right.
Apparently, we're handling the news quite well. So they could, at this point, reveal themselves like I've been waiting for since I was, little. Yeah.
Do you know how fucking scared I would be?
If you toys were like, oh, hey, bro, we've seen you jerk it a bunch.
See, that was I didn't want to mention it, but that was one of the memes that was popular around when Toy Story 3 came out. And it was we flash forward from Andy being like 7 to now he's like 20.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But like people were like self-producing memes, like like the toys underneath the bed while Andy's getting laid for the first time or something. I was like, damn, bro.
Like, I don't know. I think Buzz would be cheering him on. So anyway. But here's the thing: the only thing that bothers me about Toy Story 3, this is the final button thought for me on this one, is they actually prove Lotso is correct in the way that the movie plays out. Because there is a point where they just kind of get rid of it, or get new toys, or move on. And so Lotso's point that there's one time in every toy's life where the same thing with any person, you get picked up and you get put down, you never get picked up again. And like that's this is like this underlying dread of like self-evaluation too that's inside this Toy Story movie.
Right, because there's a lot of themes that like you said, for being a kids movie, there's a lot of adult themes and there's a lot of like horrifying stuff, like you said, like existential dread, the fear of death, the fear of being forgotten.
Yeah.
And these are all like very adult and existential things that once upon a time we all kind of think about.
I don't.
So to have it painted in the light of sentient toys, I feel for a lot of people might also make it easier to swallow.
Right? Yeah, exactly. They can have those thoughts safely as long as it's about a toy and not about anything else. So yeah, 100%. Right? Like, fun and weird. Yay, Toy Story. And then again, the movie ends. Buzz is like looking at Jesse like yeah, sweet. We're gonna be good together. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Buzz and Jesse?
Like I said, I think it's funny. I feel like it's not meant to be taken seriously because all they're really looking for is just like companionship, like past the platonic level. But it's like they're toys, and I don't know if it's implied that they fuck, but it is implied that they're like romantic with one another.
That's fair, right? They don't have the anatomy. I think they pointed that out. I don't think specifically for that reason. But yeah, you're right. To them, toys is hand holding. That's your travel buddy, your moving buddy, right?
Right.
So okay, I mean, I guess I could see that everybody needs somebody, right?
Right. And then, like I said, and then it's kind of like you mentioned too before, so I won't harp on it for too long, but like the cowboy cowgirl dynamic would have been too easy.
I don't want her with Woody either. I'm sort of questioning the reason that she has to hook up with anybody at all. Because Jessie seems like pretty complete in herself.
She does. She seems like a very like confident person.
You know what I mean? And that was kind of like the thought. I was like, I wonder why like she needs to be paired off. Like Jessie doesn't need anybody to look after her. She also doesn't seem like she's down for looking after anyone else too much either. I mean, not that she doesn't care, but like, you know, most people, I think if you ask Jessie, most people should be able to take care of themselves. I don't know. Because she's fairly independent. And you know,
right, yeah, like that's what I was gonna say. She seems more independent than to want or need someone like Buzz, but there is kind of a funny scene too, which is why I say like it's implied that they're like at least romantic with each other. Is that like she kind of gives this look to like one of the other toys, and she's like, "I found out about Buzz's Spanish mode."
Yeah. And so, and that's at the end of 3, and it is funny because she used it and she makes him dance too at the end of the movie, like during the credits. And so I think that is fun and funny. There's points in the movie too that kind of prove their romance. So it's not like it's unfounded in the course of the movie. Like they lay the groundwork for it, and you see her like it's not just him. Like he saves her, and she's looking at him just like, oh wow, I did not see this guy before. Of course, he's in Spanish mode at the time when it happens. So. Does she love him or does she love Spanish Buzz Lightyear? Maybe they'll cover that in Toy Story 5, coming out next year.
What?
Yeah, Toy Story 5 it's rumored to come out in 2026.
What the fuck?
I mean, it's timely for us to review this horror franchise. I'm excited to see what horror steps they take next. For
real, yeah. I'm just excited to see what else. What else could?
Well, yeah, you ready to get into 4? Yeah, you're ready to get into 4 because 4 takes this like takes a ride, and literally because they go on a road trip, but also like wow, there are some big thoughts in 4, and 4 is focused around this one question of what exactly makes a toy and what makes a toy alive, because of Forky. Again, this existential crisis of like what is awareness is being handled in Toy Story 4. So yeah, I mean, Forky is basically Jar Jar Binks, right? Before he's a Sith Lord, and
I do forget that like that's like a running joke is that Jar Jar Binks is like an ultimate power level.
It should have been done, and George Lucas chickened out. Bastard.
George Lucas, you chicken shit. You sold it to Disney, and now it'll never get done.
Yeah,
we need evil Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, and we did too, man. Like, I mean, it could have happened. Another character got shoehorned in. It should have been him. I mean, it's leading up to it in that movie. But anyway,
so we take a road trip with Bonnie.
Yeah, well, first they do some really fun stuff. Like the first thing that they do is they do a flashback to when Bo got lost, because I think initially that Bo's voice actress died, and that's why they cut her out of the 3rd movie. And so they referenced her with sadness about her being lost at one point. Right. You know, but like just they address her.
I believe that was in 3. I believe.
Yeah. It's not there, and that, you know, so okay, it was a little bit weird, but they addressed it. And then they flash back and they're like, actually, this is the specific story that happened. And it's really, really cool to see them doing this, like the thing that toys do, because like a toy gets left outside and they have to go rescue him, and it's like Bo Peep and Woody working together. we've never seen that before. And so immediately the movie was like, hey, we're going different places, which it does. And so it lives up to the promise that it was going to go different places.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and you get to see, they do lightning, they do water effects, they're doing like this first scene, and it is basically to show off how good they've gotten at animation, in my opinion. Again, if you need to like get the full effect of this, watch Toy Story 1 and then watch Toy Story 4. Because you'll just be like, your eyes will pop out because it's just you're like, there's so many details like in all of these shots.
And I feel like with that nostalgia filter that we all have, and kind of like that imaginative child mind, it's kind of like you said, when we see Andy in the first movie, we imagine him because we're children. We, okay, this is a child just like me. But you don't realize, like I said, you get older, you go back and you watch the movie and you're like, oh my God.
Right. Yeah, the animation hasn't aged as well from Toy Story 1, but also Toy Story 4, they're aware. And they kept up with the times because they were groundbreaking when they did it. I would not be hard pressed to hear that they were groundbreaking when they did Toy Story 4 also, because it's really, really good. Again, the lighting, shadow effects, the sheen on people, like Bo Peep, the shine is like lightning flashes. Amazing, right? Like that's just one of those things you're like, there's your money shot right there. Like that's where you spend a lot of time and effort to make sure that effect came out. Woody in the rain, during this whole scene, like when he's trying to convince her to get out of the box, when he's like saving the toy, like it's a really great opening sequence. So again, yeah, Toy Story 4. I think you said you saw it like one time a long time ago. Have you revisited it?
Yeah. I hadn't gotten to know. You're gonna kind of have to lead us through.
You probably
Toy Story 4.
This scene, as much because it's really just a background scene, and I think that in most people's brains, this scene is going to be put like somewhere in the lore of Toy Story 2 or 3, like between those two movies. And so I don't think you would even think about it being in this movie because it's not really. The only reason it exists here is so that we know what happened to Bo, is not that she died, like it happened to the voice actress in our world, but like that she instead got given to someone who was given to somebody else, as we find out later, in an antique store, actually.
It's traded.
One of the things we haven't talked about at any point in this franchise is about how Andy doesn't have a dad, and has never had a dad.
Right. Andy's father is never referenced.
Never been
in the entire franchise.
Yeah, like, and that starts from his really young childhood. So it's good to see that he's so like well balanced as he is. His mom obviously does some great work. Shout out to single moms everywhere. You can message me. I have an email address that I referenced in a previous episode.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just playing. You one of the, we're reviewing the substance. You definitely insisted that we have an email address available, so I gave him my email address. So
it's just funny because you were like, yeah, shout out to the single moms, and you were like, hit me up. I was like, dude, that's wild work. But
you're gonna call out that right there? Oh man. Okay, guys, forgot I said anything. I was trying to slip that in on this guy's unnoticed. But like so below the radar. But yeah, no, I'm just messing. But yeah, Andy's mom rated as well. I was laughing at Bonnie having two parents, and it was very important that they showed both of her parents.
Right.
In this one, like before, he was like, "Oh, she's a mom." We see a mom has a kid just like Andy's mom, and then it was like, in this one, they're like two parents. She has two parents who love her very much. It's like, okay, I got you, guys. I believe it.
Okay, yes, this is better. Like.
Yeah, they did it, I believe, for the sheer fact of budget, to design a mom and a kid and a boy kid. That's only three people to design a dad and make sure that he fits into all the scenes, in addition to all the other stuff.
Right.
Like you don't need, in Toy Story, you don't need Andy to have a dad and a mom. They kind of like
right because in the first movie, it's more of a literal toy story.
Yeah.
It's not so much focused on, right. Like it's The first movie is not so much focused on the toys interaction, even with the outside world, as much as it is with the toys interactions with one another.
Yeah, exactly. We're exploring the world of the toys, and that's why I think that 4 is such a great movie, and because what it does is now puts the toys out in the world.
Right.
The road trip is the way that it starts, but it starts this whole story about what a lost toy is, and what purpose they serve in the world at large. Um, and I was just, yeah, like it's a cool story to like tell. Um, because it's very very different. Also, one of the big things that's talked about a lot in this movie is the idea of following your inner voice, which Buzz does by hitting his buttons, and they say all these phrases that you've never heard Buzz say before, and he follows it like all through the course of the movie to get any suggestion, and it turns out that it's actually right. Like there's points in the movie where he wants to make a different decision, but his voice box just keeps saying this exact same thing that he'd been hearing before, but in like different variations. And then at the same time, the doll is after Woody's voice box, which is where Buzz originally got the idea for the inner voice and how the inner voice guides him. And so it's Woody giving up his inner voice for the sake of somebody else, and Buzz learning to trust his. You see, like there's this pass off in leadership too, as Woody.
Right. Yeah. There's like a passing of the torch.
Yeah, and I think Buzz, he stays with Bonnie at the end of the movie. He gives Woody permission to go at the end of the movie too, which is a really powerful scene. Um, and he's done all he can for his kids, and there's other people who can take care of Bonnie too. Like she's not going to miss him because she doesn't even play with him. And what an interesting idea to set up in the beginning of the movie too, right? Like Woody, who was the main character, is suddenly not the main character in the adventures. You see how like I don't know, maybe you don't, but this is why I feel like this is a complete circle story, right? Where the thing that he has feared for all this time, that he was not going to be Andy's favorite, has suddenly become the entirety of his life. Like he's not even Andy's toy anymore; he's Bonnie's toy, and he's not even Bonnie's favorite toy. Jesse is.
Right.
So like it's a complete status shift. And so like I feel like that wasn't the case at the end of 3, but it is the case at 4, and they really like they settle that. So like basically boiled down to one sentence, Woody's story is completed in 4, where it's not completed in 3. And that's why I think you do need 4. There's all sorts of horror elements in this one too, but the horror elements are really what is a monster toy? Like what happens when you put random pieces of stuff together? Which, Forky is the story of that. Forky is a Frankenstein monster that Bonnie accidentally turned into a toy. She put a bunch of trash from the garbage together.
The googly eyes, eye cleaners, and like a smiley face on a stork.
Yeah, and then a spoon or a spork, yeah, of course, and then a popsicle stick that a kid had been sucking on previously. Like it's just like, you know, so yeah, there's your horror element right there. Is that give my creation life, and it suddenly is no longer trash; it is a toy, and then it literally outranks the actual toy, who is the main character, who has been the main character.
And I'm pretty sure I do remember, like we do see Woody like feeling some type of way about that as well.
He does, right? Like he is definitely jealous of this toy, and he starts. It's funny for this one. He's the one who starts chasing the idiot ball, because remember, it was Buzz before who was Woody had to be the sensible one. Woody had to teach him how to be a toy, and now it's Woody trying to prove that he's the best toy, and he's doing it by chasing this idiot ball of trying to like make Forky Bonnie's favorite toy, because if it's not him, then he's going to help her be happy any way he can. He's trying to be the best toy, and it's right. Like the thing that's being hit on is that the joy of serving sometimes becomes so tiresome when you forget why you're doing it, which is like a hugely deep theme to be putting in Toy Story. But also, these guys are talking about how they got together because they had a fun idea. They had software to do it. Now they've been committed to doing a fourth film, which is a massive undertaking. Even if you do have all the puppets and sets built, you know, that's not an easy thing to do. And so I think in some ways it's just the telling of Toy Story itself, right? Like as a franchise, it's like, you know, sometimes it can just feel like you're being forced to bring joy to other people, and then Buzz reminds us that, you know, there's other people who can bring joy to other people as well. It's not always just on you. Uh, I mean,
A lot of beautiful themes going on in this movie.
big thoughts in this one. We meet not Bonnie. We meet the doll with the voice box, and here's all the horror elements that you could be looking for, right? Because they're in this like spooky antique store as part of the gag, and it's portrayed by ventriloquist dummies, which are another horror movie trope. You know, like the doll,
creepy.
yeah, the doll who lives there is always coming out of the shadows. The way that she finally gets the voice box is not by taking it from Woody, but by convincing him with his own logic that she learned from Forky how that he could be broken down psychologically, so he would give it up willingly. It's like before I thought Lotso was the most sadistic villain, but she is like so like the mind game that she plays in order to get him to willingly give up the voice box is so fucked. Like I can't believe it's at a kids movie. Like it's just like if you're just watching the movie, you're like, okay, she talked him into it. But like the way that you see like the social game that she played in order to get that, because he was blabbering to Forky on the road, because he would, you know, because he's jealous. It's just like fantastic character development. Also, real creepy horror movie stuff.
And then too, like you said, like that's a pretty adult villain. You know, like that's a pretty adult villain thing for someone to do in a kids movie is just use like psychological manipulation.
Yeah,
that's super scary because it's like this. It kind of plants this seed of like don't trust anyone. I mean, especially not this creepy, you know, monstrous thing.
Well, that's the thing about it is that I was like, this is a Toy Story movie, and we're meeting something kind of sweet like Lotso. I obviously don't trust this thing. I obviously don't trust this woman. You know, she's up to something, and then she pretty quickly reveals what she's up to. It's no big thing, actually. It's just that her voice box is broken. Has always been broken, and then we find out that she has a really big reason for it. She wants this one girl, who visits her grandma's shop to play with her, and she wants to become this very special doll to her. She shares this with Forky. So she's not even particularly evil. She is manipulative, right? Like she does get what she wants, but at the same time, like she wants what all the toys want. She wants a kid who loves her. And then we find out that that kid couldn't care less about her. Right? Like, man, what a twist. For Toy Story.
Right, it's like she does all this manipulation, does all these mind games, leaves Woody mute.
Yeah.
All to just not even impress this girl that she's trying to impress and get played with and get taken.
Couldn't care less. And it's so interesting because, you know, it's a Toy Story movie. So then, you know, Woody's thing is helping all toys. That's kind of it's been his big motif. And so he decides to help even the one who stole his voice box, or that he gave the voice box up to. And so
that's interesting. I don't remember exactly how he goes about doing that.
Well, I will say that because there's lots of twists and turns as to how all these things unfold. There's great as thin a plot as Toy Story 1 has. It is very, very layered and very nuanced for 4. There is one of the writers. If you look at it, you'll see that it has the original writer from the first movie, and then this other woman's name, who I apologize, I didn't write it down, but it's in the credits. And then you see that she helped write. She came up with the original story, and she helped write the script as well. And I would attribute it a lot to her because the writing of this movie is very tight. There's a lot of rich detail. There's a lot of rich characters, but they all get satisfaction, and they all get explored thoroughly. which is not something you can say about Toy Story. Yeah, actually, the other ones very much. Like you can say that some of the main characters get some resolutions and that some other things happen, but you can't say every single one of them. Even these ridiculous side characters played by Key and Peele, the stuffed bunny and duck, which are coming, they come completely out of left field. They don't belong in this movie at all. But they also get a resolution um, in that they start being able to free other toys. So yeah, it's a very, very smart writer who did Toy Story 4. And I think a lot of people, their knee-jerk reaction, like mine was and Tarantino's was 3 was enough. Why would you do 4? 4 feels like a money grab, but it isn't. And if it is, it's a very well written money grab, packed with all of your Toy Story, all the Toy Story things that you love, and then continuing to build the world. So you could say, I guess the original series, though, that the going back to the backstory of Vader was a money grab, but also fleshed out the rest of the story. You could say Return of the Jedi, like the Next Jedi, the Last Jedi series was a money grab, but also, they flesh out the rest of the story. So for the fans who want, more of the story, that's it. There's going to be a saga of Toy Story because you want to get to the big conclusion of the movie. Are you okay if we move there quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Is that at the end of it, Woody willingly becomes a lost toy with Bo Peep, where they go out and what they're going to be doing now is going from park to park, and they're riding with this carnival now across the country to all these places so that they can have some random kid find them and play with them until they lose them. And that's and so they can bring joy to lots of kids. And so it's this idea that we're Woody's story has become complete because he was an owned toy. He was a known icon. We find out he was well respected by the rest of his toys, looked up to as a leader, and now he's just out on the road, seeing the world, following love and his heart. Chasing, along with the woman that he loves, or the female toy that he's affectionate with, or however that works out.
Right.
And but he doesn't belong to any kid anymore. He's kind of like the world's toy. And see how that's so complete?
Yeah,
man, I just, wow. I couldn't believe that they had done that, because again, I thought Toy Story 3 was cap. You're at the top. You can't go any higher than that. They've been passed off to another kid, and then that's just the starting point for Toy Story 4. So I definitely have to I wanted to do this to encourage people to do it, and then also the horror elements that are in it, namely Key and Peele, who
just a cameo in the movie.
Yeah, well, they're hanging out with them. They keep picking up a bigger cast of people, which is fun. But they're hanging out with them, and one of the things is, what we're going to do to this old lady to get our key, and every single one of the lines, the ideas is murder her. We're going to murder her. And so they go down these little jaunts of this whole storyline of how they're going to get this old lady. And then the end of the movie, I think in the credits, there's one sequence where Bunny and Duck become this huge kaiju that's blasting lasers from their eyes as they're terrorizing the carnival.
Oh my God!
Well, you didn't see it?
I don't remember it.
It's worth a rewatch, dude. Oh man, just for these reasons. It's it has all the horror elements that we're talking about that are in it still. And then again, they have characters that they build up and then they pay off. There's one side character of note, which is the leaping Canuck. I can't remember exactly what his name is. It's silly. And they introduce him for a silly reason, and you kind of think he's going to be a written off character. But he's known as being a failure, and he's been carrying that around and they make sure that that he's been carrying that around for a long time. And then he finally gets to do his longest successful jump in the movie. So again, it's just super nice to see like that sort of thing, where character stakes are introduced and then developed, because you don't have to do that. Like they proved with Toy Story, you don't have to do that. You can just have a fun ride that kids enjoy and think fondly of. Um, like
Right.
you don't need character satisfaction for every single character, and have a bad guy that richly developed, that we actually at the end of the movie are rooting that she finds a new kid, and she does, and we're just hoping that she finally gets the love that she deserves, and that Woody's voice box doesn't go to waste. You know, you don't need that in Toy Story, but Toy Story 4 does all those things. So I just, I give it up. Yeah, I definitely give it up, up to this movie. Um,
Um, I mean, and I guess because I mean, I know we're probably gonna have to wrap it up here soon.
yeah, we're coming in the last like conclusion of it.
I feel like every time there's been a Toy Story movie that's come out, these are one of the few movies where each consecutive sequel is better than the last one if you let it be. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like if you're not sitting there and trying to be pretentious about it and understand, you're watching a kids movie, and like a lot of people watch it with like this filter of nostalgia on it and things like that. But if you just watch it as like a movie, and this goes for each one of them, I mean, at least as far as I felt,
yeah,
that they've all gotten better
exactly.
as it goes. So
Yeah,
now that the bar is this high after Toy Story 4,
yeah.
I'm like, are they going to be able to bump it up one more time, or are they going to drop the bag?
Well, see, I have thought that every single time. I've Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 2, like I was excited to see Toy Story 2, but I was also kind of expecting Gremlins too. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, and there's few exceptions. They are becoming less and less, but like Back to the Future 2, way better than Back to the Future 1, in my opinion. Way more.
Right.
They got that budget, they did the thing that they wanted to. Like, it has all these memorable moments in it. Ghostbusters 2, is it necessary? I mean, where does it go? Halloween 2 is great, but Halloween 3 is just, they completely went off track. And there's so many examples, right? Of like, it's just a money grab. But you said it. Toy Story somehow keeps raising the bar. And I don't think it's accidental, because they're not letting it be mediocre, and they're not resting on their laurels. I think they keep asking the question of like, what haven't we done, and what can we do? And so I think that Toy Story is a horror franchise. Toy Story should be recognized as really like peak. You should, when you're writing like more movies after another movie, you should look to Toy Story as an example of like, you can't let your audience down. You can't just recycle jokes. I mean, you can, but like, shame on you, because look at Toy Story.
Right, the audience will hate you for
A fucking kids movie about toys. Like where it started and where it ended, like, and how vast the difference is between those points. They took us on journeys. And if you're not doing that with your films, then you're wasting your audience's time. You're wasting your own time first, because why would you write movies like that?
Right. Yeah. Like if you're not trying to send a message, and if you're not trying to have, something poignant and have your audience remembering something or thinking about something by the time that they leave, then you're not doing it right.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole reason that we go to stories, right? Like the whole reason that, we want to go on adventures is because we want to experience things safely.
Right.
And, dealing with death, and dealing with hell, dealing with being lost and forgotten, like those are important themes to be looking at, and they're doing it in safe ways in the Toy Story franchise. They're introducing kids to like, things that are scary. And that's why I think the Toy Story isn't like, I mean, it is a horror movie, but I think that that's why they didn't go like 100% to that. Is because they want kids to, they want to scare them enough so that they know that things are scary, but then let them feel that things will still be safe.
Right.
For sure. So, that the world isn't a scary place. And their theme song, "You've Got a Friend in Me," is the underlying thing for all of these movies too, is that without each other, we're nothing. And I think that,
friendship, like friendship and companionship is more important than any of us realize.
and that even goes down to toys, right? Like the reason that we love and need toys is because it's loving something. It's that they provide that cuddle to the kid that needs it, and they enjoy being cuddled, as you see, and I think for as much as they enjoy giving it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, also too, like what an amazing exploration of what a toy's purpose is just throughout the franchise. Um, I feel like they made a lot of good comments. Just like like growing up, we all had like a favorite toy or two. Mine, coincidentally, happened to be Woody. I got a Woody shortly after Toy Story. Wait, hold on now. My parents had purchased me a Woody. That still doesn't sound right. I don't know, man.
My parents gave me the Woody. My Papa Boner gave me a.
My Papa Boner gave me a Woody for Christmas.
For Christmas. And every holiday thereafter. So the terrible story. Can we just hit on the fact that that Woody and Buzz obviously sound like sex toys too? So I mean, yes, it has to be said. So I think that they've been trying to tell us from the beginning that there's adult themed humor in this movie, and they're trying to get away with as much as possible, and that's why it comes as no surprise now, right? They've been making adults movies for adults this whole time. They're as much fun to watch grown up as they were as a kid.
Absolutely. And just like, once again, just going back to like, just analyzing it as a horror series as well. Kind of opened up the artfulness of the entire series to me in a whole new light, where it's like, there is a lot of these really creepy things that happen throughout all four movies from what I remember.
Oh yeah, and we didn't even hit on the biggest one. I mean, in the fourth movie, which is the thing that most people have the fear of right now, which is the fear of homelessness. That's essentially what Bo Peep has become, is a homeless woman. And
right.
And the same with every other lost toy. And she's inviting Woody on this adventure of being homeless. They live inside. I mean, they travel around inside a skunk. She has an arm torn off that has to be constantly retaped. I mean, that's like what it is. So like this fear of like actual real fear that a lot of people have is like, again, at the heart of this movie. This horror franchise. They've done a really good job hiding it, and they've done a really good job exploring it. And
then too, the times that they did lean into it, it was pretty creepy.
Yeah, and also it's completely justified within their world. Like it's just when they applied it, it's in such a way that it doesn't stand out. It's definitely like, you're like, yep, there's Sid in his Combat Carl. Yep, there's the what is 2?
Wait, what?
I was thinking about the incinerator of 3, which is the big horror element of 3.
Oh, 2. The horror element from 2 is essentially like Jesse tells him like, yeah, we're gonna go to a museum in Japan, and we'll just be up there in little cases, and everybody can come and look at us.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And,
yeah,
it's like being trapped. I think
the novelty of being alive, and exactly, and then being like, frozen permanently. The amber, because they do that same the fear that he has, or like the reason he's like, oh no, I can't do that, is exactly the thing that happens to Buzz with the big long shot. Yeah, so that whole factory line, assembly line feeling. It's the same shot as in The Matrix when he wakes up, right? Like he's one of many people in this huge, vast conspiracy or whatever. So that's fair. And then 4, of course, is the terrifying, the terror of homelessness and the big world out there of all the things. When we lose our purpose, what do we become? So it is really fun. I realized that the Key and Peele sketch that I pointed out, them terrorizing the carnival, is only if you wait till after all of the credits play out. So most people may have missed that. I am one of those guys. I do like to give credit and just see like the sheer number of people it takes to make a film and celebrate all of their work, not necessarily just the writers and the actors. Because there's gaffers and there's animators and there's key lighting guys and like the people who do just articulation for one puppet. You see just how big this project is.
Right.
Yeah, I always like to kind of enjoy that. But then also, in the era that we are in, people like to throw, post credit scenes in and that sort of thing. Marvel,
Right. Yeah. Like
Pixar.
I would say everything's a Marvel movie now.
Well, they started doing it in two. They started doing the outtakes, and so I was wondering what they would do with it. And then Key and Peele is Duck and Bunny, joined at the hand, Carnival toys, plushie Carnival toys. Just, I'm glad they did that. It's just so funny. Yeah, the character's name was Kaboom, who makes this 40-foot jump in that movie. And then the other thing that the storyline that they keep doing is Unicorn keeps making this joke where he wants the dad to get arrested for doing a crime, and they keep blowing him off. But the big plan to get them to the carousel, or the Ferris wheel, makes the dad do a crime. So even the unicorn who wanted his crazy storyline to be satisfied, gets his satisfaction in this movie too. And there's just the coming together of Toy Story 4 is this closing moment that happens on the awning at the carousel where Woody is deciding to leave Bo Peep, and Bo Peep is realizing that she's in love with him because he's such a loyal toy, that he will do anything for his kid, and then Buzz being like, no, your time has come, like just go and get lost, in the best way, like go, and so it's like, so like again, the Toy Story Pixar has gone over above and beyond for what they needed to do, for a film, and they keep delivering. I'm personally excited for Toy Story 5. And that's Disney head. I have big doubts, but
See, and that was my like initial reaction. Like I had not heard about Toy Story 5. Like as soon as you took, that was my genuine reaction. I was like, huh? What?
Right. Yeah.
Because and the only reason I was that baffled is because I was like, where else can they go? What else are they gonna do? What else can they explore? Right. And I'm excited to get the answer to those questions because, like we've said, they just keep constantly pushing the bar higher and higher. And I hope that they even push it higher with Toy Story 5 because
well, I believe honestly, they can. I would have had doubts. I mean, like if I hadn't seen the evidence of what they've done with Toy Story, as long as they do exactly the same thing, they just don't rest on their laurels, which I don't think that they will.
Just keep the formula going.
Well, and the formula is, like, what is life like? And they have so many different options. Like they can explore what life is like for Buzz being there, Buzz and Jesse being in Bonnie's house. They could explore what it's like for Bo Peep and Woody to be on the road. They're probably going to explore both of the storylines, to be honest. Where they're gonna have like Bo Peep and Woody spinning town again, come in town in carnival or something like that. The carnival is going to come to Bonnie's town, and the two clans will get to meet up, and they'll need their help for some reason. You know what I mean? So we'll get it will probably start in Bonnie's house as Bonnie's gotten a little bit older, and we'll get to see what that's like. And I'm pretty sure that's how they'll get them back together. And so we'll get to see what life is like on the road, and then them coming together for their big adventure that we'll get to witness. That's my guess. Guys, comment below if your thoughts about what you think Toy Story 5 might be about, what you hope it's about. If you think we're absolutely wrong, that's okay. You can disagree with me. I'm trying to be nice to Logan because he gets sad, and I have to be the one who consoles him.
I will cry.
Yeah. So that is on me to take care of that. So just think of me when you're making Logan cry. And that's just extra work that you gotta put on your boy instead of the animation that we could be doing.
I like that. That's another running bit that we've done too. Is like, hey, just don't make Logan cry in the comments.
Don't make Logan cry in the comments. You can if you want to. You can absolutely disagree with us if you don't think that any of the things we said is true. But yeah, like, comment, share, or dislike. I think you can do also. So dislike, uncomment, or post an angry comment, unshare somebody else's shared post in anger that you dislike us so much or whatever. But we are glad that you're here. Thank you for listening to the Stocks and Space podcast. This is Flicking with Skip. And I'm Skip Marazi here with Logan Gifford, reviewing the Toy Story franchise for tonight. We do thank you for everything that you've done, and we'll catch you not next week because we're going to take off next week, but we'll be reviewing the Substance the week after that. So
yeah, be sure to stay tuned where we review one of Demi Moore's best movies,
the Substance. All right, bye.